Millionaire CEO fires his janitor to cut salaries, but discovers she's the brain behind his success. Before we get into this story, where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you enjoy Millionaire CEO stories like these, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next one. In the heart of a busy city, where glass buildings sparkle in the sun and dreams run as fast as the Wi-Fi, one company stood above the rest: the Grant Technologies. It was sleek, it was modern, and it was everywhere. From phones to smart home devices, Nicholas Grant's name was tied to the kind of tech that made people's lives easier, or at least more connected. Tech magazines called him a visionary genius. Business blogs labeled him self-made. And to the world watching from the outside, Nicholas had it all: the brain, the suits, the money, and the charm. But every empire has its secrets. Behind the polished surfaces of Grant Tech's downtown headquarters, as the day crew shut down their computers and turned off the lights, another kind of worker stepped in. Her name was Lila. She wasn't famous, she didn't have an office. But every night, when the world of CEOs, coders, and product managers went home, Lila showed up with a cart full of cleaning supplies and a pair of wireless headphones. She wore navy blue coveralls with her name stitched on the front. Her brown skin glowed under the soft office lights. She was in her early 20s, young, curious, observant. To most people, she was just the janitor. But Lila noticed everything. She saw the messy whiteboards full of half-formed ideas. She noticed when the same bug kept showing up in a test build someone forgot to lock. She read the notes left behind in trash bins. She listened to podcast episodes through thin office walls as teams brainstormed what the next big thing should be. And Lila didn't just clean, she contributed. Late at night, when no one was around, she would leave sticky notes on desks. Check the loop in line 48, it's creating an infinite loop error. Add a location pin to the calendar feature, it could increase daily engagement. Or sometimes just, this could work better if you use machine learning to auto-correct user behavior. You're halfway there. No signature. No clue who left them, just insights that worked. And every time someone followed one of her anonymous tips, it led to something better. Cleaner code, smoother features, happier users. Nicholas, the Millionaire CEO, had no idea. He thought the improvements came from his overworked dev team. He thought the brilliance was his. He gave speeches about innovation and hustle. He wore tailored suits and posted motivational quotes on LinkedIn. Meanwhile, Lila read Harvard Business Review articles on her breaks. She borrowed library books on artificial intelligence, business strategy, and behavioral economics. Her notebook was full of app sketches and UX redesigns, things she never got to show anyone. Not because she wasn't good enough, but because no one ever asked. No one ever saw her. Well, almost no one. Camila, Nicholas's executive assistant, started to notice something strange. She'd come in early some mornings and see updated sticky notes on the whiteboards. One day, she saw Lila picking up a discarded notebook near the developer lounge. Camila watched quietly as Lila flipped through it, frowned, and corrected a line of broken code on the margin before tossing it in the recycling bin. Camila didn't say anything. She just watched, listened, and noticed the connection between the janitor and the ideas that seemed to come out of nowhere. But Camila worked for Nicholas. And Nicholas didn't like surprises. He liked clean answers, clear roles, and being in control. So even as Lila helped shape some of the company's best ideas, quietly, invisibly, Nicholas was too busy soaking up praise to see where the real brilliance was coming from. He stood on TEDx stages, preaching about thinking outside the box, all while ignoring the fact that someone who truly was outside the box, outside the system, was building his legacy behind the scenes. Lila didn't mind, though. Not really. At least not at first. She loved learning. She loved solving problems. She was used to being underestimated. But what she didn't know was that soon, the same man who unknowingly owed her everything was about to throw it all away. After months of booming success, things at Grant Technologies started to shift. The glow began to fade. It started with a tense meeting behind glass doors in a top-floor conference room where Nicholas Grant sat across from his investors. They weren't smiling this time. They weren't impressed with headlines or hashtags. They wanted numbers, and the numbers were slowing down. The company wasn't sinking, not yet, but the investors felt it. The momentum was stalling. Costs were up, margins were down. Growth wasn't skyrocketing anymore. So they did what big money people always do when they feel nervous. They called for cuts. Trim the fat, one of them said. Reduce unnecessary labor, another added. Be leaner, be smarter, be efficient. Nicholas nodded, pretending to think it over. But the truth is, he had already made up his mind. Within days, a list was made. Dozens of names. Admin assistants, part-time developers, contractors, and yes, janitors. Lila's name was on that list. Nicholas never asked who she was. He never paused when he saw the name L. Owens. He signed the paperwork like it meant nothing, and just like that, Lila was gone. No goodbyes, no thank yous. Just a quiet message from HR and a final paycheck that didn't even add up right. At first, nothing seemed different. Nicholas went on with his day. Pitch meetings, press calls, Instagram quotes about hustle. But within 2 weeks, something felt off. The dev team launched a new update, one that had major bugs, crashes, and complaints flooded the inbox. Then the marketing team rolled out a product campaign. It flopped hard. Engagement dropped by 40%. Features that used to just work suddenly didn't. Nicholas called an emergency meeting. "Where's the creativity?" he snapped. "Where's the edge?" The team looked confused. They were doing what they always did, brainstorming, building, debugging. But the spark? It was gone. And Nicholas couldn't understand why. Camila did. She had a feeling. Something in her gut told her this wasn't just a slump. Something had changed, and it wasn't just the market. So she started digging. Late at night, when the office was quiet, Camila opened up internal logs. She reviewed camera footage, entry times, desk activity, code submissions. Nothing invasive, just patterns. And slowly, a truth emerged. All those sticky notes with brilliant suggestions, they stopped appearing the day Lila left. All those sudden code improvements that saved projects in the 11th hour, they stopped too. Camila leaned back in her chair, stunned. It was Lila. It had been Lila the whole time. The janitor. The quiet young woman with the book bag and the curious eyes. The one who scribbled ideas in the margins, corrected bugs like it was second nature, and never said a word. She wasn't just cleaning. She was thinking, creating, fixing. The next morning, Camila walked straight into Nicholas's office. He barely looked up. "What is it?" he asked, distracted. "I know why things are falling apart," she said. That got his attention. Camila explained everything, what she saw, what she found, what Lila had been doing in the background for months. "And Nicholas?" He laughed. "The janitor," he said, shaking his head. "Behind my success?" He leaned back in his expensive leather chair like it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. Camila didn't smile. "It's real," she said. "I've checked the logs, watched the footage. Her suggestions match the exact timeline of every major improvement." Nicholas paused. He looked out the window, frowning. Then he waved it off. "Even if that's true," he said, "she's gone. She was never part of the team." Camila just stood there, quiet. That night, Nicholas couldn't sleep. He tried to ignore it, tried to believe it was a coincidence. But the thought wouldn't leave him alone. So he pulled up old files, dates, product launches, sticky notes he once praised the team for, suggestions he once thought came from some genius on the floor. And slowly, it clicked. It really had been her. Not his top-paid strategist, not the expensive consultants, not even himself. It was the janitor he fired without blinking. The one who understood the company better than anyone else. The one he didn't even see. Nicholas sat at his desk long after midnight, staring at the empty space where Lila used to clock in. And for the first time in his life, Nicholas Grant, the millionaire CEO with the fancy suits and the perfect hair, felt something strange. Doubt. He didn't just lose a janitor. He may have lost the one person keeping the whole company together. By now, Nicholas Grant knew the truth. His company wasn't built on luck or leadership alone. It was built, at least in part, by someone he never noticed, someone he fired without a second thought. Now he couldn't ignore it any longer. Hello there. If you've watched this far, we have noticed that only 22% of our viewers subscribe, and 78% of viewers do not subscribe. Our goal is 70%. If you ever enjoy any of the stories I've shared, kindly take out 2 seconds to do me this huge favor and hit the subscribe button. It helps me more than you know. As the channel grows, I can put out more of your favorite stories for your viewing pleasure. Thank you as you subscribe right away. So one rainy afternoon, With no cameras, no press, and no assistant by his side, Nicholas got in his car and drove to the last address tied to Lila Owens. But she wasn't there. He asked around, followed a few leads, and finally found her, not in an office, but at a small local library, tucked away in a quiet part of the city. There she was, Lila. Still young, still sharp, her curls pulled into a loose bun, no makeup, just jeans, a t-shirt, and a calm confidence that didn't need anything flashy. She was sitting on the floor, surrounded by 3 kids helping them solve math problems with paper and crayons. Her voice was soft, patient. Nicholas stood in the doorway, unsure. For once, he didn't have a script. He waited until the kids left. Then he stepped forward. "Lila?" She looked up, surprised but not nervous. "Oh," she said, "it's you." Nicholas smiled awkwardly. "I wanted to talk." She stood, crossing her arms. "About what?" He hesitated. "About what you did at Grant Tech, about how important you were, about how we messed up." Lila didn't blink. "I'm not coming back to clean floors," she said flatly. Nicholas shook his head. "I'm not asking you to." She waited. He sighed, finally letting the silence settle. "You were right there," he said, "fixing our mistakes, building our future. And I never saw it." Lila nodded slowly. "No, you didn't. I was born and raised in a city that chews people up if they don't look the part. From the start, I was the smart one, top of my class, captain of the robotics team, always first to sign up for every science fair. My teachers wrote glowing recommendations when I applied to college. I thought I was on my way. But life had other plans. My mom got sick during my senior year, and I stayed behind to help. Instead of going to my dream school, I went to a local college. I worked double shifts to pay the bills, her treatments, rent, tuition. I took night classes, slept when I could. I graduated with a degree in computer science and a stack of rejection letters. Not enough experience. Position filled. No room for entry-level candidates. Some companies never even replied. I showed up to interviews in my best clothes, only to be mistaken for the receptionist. I watched people, less qualified, mostly white, mostly male, walk away with offers I never even had a shot at. So, I did what I had to. Cleaning jobs, part-time gigs, night shifts no one else wanted. I took whatever work I could find. But I never stopped learning. Books, online courses, podcasts, tech blogs. I kept feeding my mind, kept dreaming, kept thinking. So when I walked into Grant Technologies as a janitor, I didn't see myself as less than. I saw a system that had locked the door, and I decided to pick the lock. Back in the library, Nicholas sat across from her, humbled. "I want to fix this," he said. "I want to build something new, with you." Lila raised an eyebrow. "You want to put my name on a diversity report?" "No," he said. "I want you on the board. I want you in charge of product development. I want to fund whatever vision you have, no strings attached." Lila stared at him, unreadable. "You want me," she said slowly, "now that you realize how much I mattered." He didn't argue. Instead, he nodded. "I'm late, but I'm here, and I'm listening." She studied him for a moment, then looked out the window. "I'm not coming back to be your discovery," she said. "If we work together, I do it my way, with equity, with purpose, and with real power, not just a title." Nicholas smiled. "Deal." That conversation would go down in company history. Not because it saved Grant Tech, but because it started something new. A partnership built not on pity, but on respect. Lila didn't just return to the world of tech. She rewrote the rules. Nicholas gave her the resources, but Lila gave the vision. She hired the people who were always overlooked, young coders from community colleges, women in tech boot camps, veterans, single parents, kids who couldn't afford Ivy League but had raw talent. She brought them in, trained them, listened to them, because she had been them. And Nicholas? He stepped back. He spoke less, listened more, showed up when it mattered, and let Lila lead. Not because he was generous, but because he finally realized she was the future. And the best thing he could do was get out of her way. When Lila Owens walked back into the headquarters of Grant Technologies, she didn't take the service elevator. She didn't carry a mop. She didn't wait until after hours. This time, she walked through the front door, head high, shoulders back, and with a badge that read, Director of Product Innovation. And she earned every letter of that title. The company had been slipping for months. Projects were failing. Morale was low. The dev teams were tired, confused, and out of sync. But Lila? She wasn't there to fix what was broken. She was there to build something better. Her first move was bold. She threw out the old roadmap and started fresh. No more guessing what users wanted. No more making features just to impress investors. No more top-down pressure from executives who didn't understand the product. Instead, Lila sat down with the people who made the company run, coders, testers, marketers, support staff, and asked a simple question. What would you build if someone actually listened to you? And they told her. Over the next few weeks, Lila created a new team, diverse in every way. Young talent, veterans, women, immigrants, people who had never been given a real chance. And under her leadership, things started to change. They launched a new platform, one focused on education and access. It helped small businesses grow online. It offered tools for students learning to code. It had features for the visually impaired, for people in rural areas, for single parents who needed flexibility. It wasn't flashy, but it worked, and people noticed. First, users started returning. Then the numbers grew. Then the media caught on. One headline read, "Grant Tech makes historic comeback," but it wasn't the CEO who led it. Another said, "From janitor to genius, meet the woman who saved $1 billion company." Lila's name was everywhere. Her story went viral. Interviews, podcasts, talk shows. But through it all, she stayed calm, grounded, focused, because the spotlight wasn't the goal. The work was. And Nicholas, he stood beside her, not in front of her. For once, he didn't try to take credit. At a press conference, he said plainly, "The truth is, Lila Owens saw this company more clearly than I ever did. I owe her our success, and I owe her an apology." It wasn't just a statement. It was a shift. A millionaire CEO admitting he got it wrong and choosing to learn instead of lead. The business world was stunned. But Lila? She just smiled. Inside the office, things looked different too. The culture changed. Meeting rooms were named after inventors from all backgrounds. People history forgot. Office walls had murals of innovators who broke barriers. Recruitment focused on potential, not just pedigree. And in the middle of it all was Lila. She didn't yell. She didn't micromanage. She asked good questions. She listened deeply. She gave credit where it was due. People loved working under her because they felt seen, heard, valued. And that, more than any one product, was her real innovation. Then came the moment no one would forget. Late one evening, after a long day of meetings and brainstorming, Lila was walking through the office. She passed the whiteboard, the same one where she used to leave anonymous notes. The same board she used to wipe clean as part of her shift. The same one that once held ideas no one knew came from her. She stopped. The room was empty, quiet, peaceful. She picked up a marker, thought for a second. Then with a confident smile, she wrote a single line, "Let's build something that matters." And underneath it, she signed her name, Lila Owens. No hiding, no initials, no mystery, just her. Lila, brilliant, bold, seen. I hope you enjoyed this emotional millionaire CEO story. I know you all want to miss the next one, so go ahead and subscribe now, and don't forget to turn on post notifications. See you in the next video.